Yeah, but did you hear that speculation or allegation? Because, I mean, yes, the government, they set up a committee, they're deploying troops to go for the rescue. But, you know, in spite of all of this, you know how comments are. There were those who were asking, were they actually kidnapped? Did you get that kind of comment while you embarked on this trip?
Of course they were kidnapped. The girls were kidnapped. That one is an indisputable fact.
From your findings,
yes,
what did you see that will make you, or that made you believe that?
You see, as a journalist, you've been trained to interview people. You get your sources of information through interviews and then through your contacts, the local contacts. So we went there, talked to the local people, and also granted, some people granted those interviews. And it's a fact that, you know, with the burnings on the schools and everything, it clearly shows you that definitely the issue of people debating as to whether these girls were kidnapped or not, I think it doesn't arise at all.
Yeah, but for instance, were you able to get a figure of the actual number of people who were kidnapped and then the actual number of people who are still in custody, for instance? Can you put a figure to it?
It might be difficult at this moment to decipher as to the exact figure because almost every day, some people are escaping, some are still held, so you cannot decipher. But I think it's little above 200 so far that we've been able to get. So, plus or minus, I think the figure just revolves around that.
Did you speak with the principal?
Well, I've not been able to meet the principal, but I think based on this thing, we'll be able to meet the local people, especially the parents of one or two girls that I've been able to talk to. We've been able to talk to directly. You know, we're still in a pensive mood, in a kind of a grief that we had to try to pacify them, to talk to them, you know, to pray for them before they could be able to talk to us.
How long did you stay in Chibok for?
Just barely a day.
How long, I mean, in that day, how long? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours?
Well, we spent about 3-4 hours.
The reason I asked this is because you said you wanted to leave immediately so you don't record any casualties. Why were you afraid of recording casualties?
Oh, of course it's obvious, man. It's always good to live than to die. So, if I had to die because of the cause of this thing, you wouldn't have seen me here to narrate my own personal experience.
The question is, who wanted to kill you in Chibok?
No, the thing is, they will not look at Ibrahim Modibbo on the face. No, will they look at Mahape on the face? Anyone that comes their way is likely to be a target. And therefore, you have to take care of yourself first.
People live in Chibok. You do say that the federal government and the state government have done quite a lot in terms of improving security. You cited the example of Maiduguri. Can you say same for Chibok?
You see, Maiduguri is a wider segment of Chibok. Chibok is part of Maiduguri. It's part of Borno State. And therefore, whatever happens within Maiduguri also affects Chibok. So this provision of security gadgets, helping the security people and also the civilian JTF are all spread across all the local governments in the state. So it is not limited to Maiduguri alone.
Yet you ran away from Chibok.
Of course. Of course.
Is there a reason for that?
You see, I'm not a military personnel. I am only a Democrat of conscience. And I believe that I have a conscience in me to study the situation, to study what is happening in Maiduguri, bearing in mind that is part of my place.
What is the peculiar nature of Chibok, or the peculiar nature of security in Chibok that made you leave Chibok? I'm sure you left Chibok for Maiduguri, and you must have stayed longer in Maiduguri for you to be able to carry out the findings that you eventually found out. So what is the peculiar nature of security in Chibok that made you leave?
You see, my way, to be honest with you, I'm not a security personnel, but a journalist. Based on what I've seen that they are soldiers, but that is not enough reason, or that does not give me the latitude or the hope, or that toga, or being bulletproof person that I should stay there. Even soldiers, sometimes they say they according to the reports, some of them also flee in the face of this tyrannical approach of the insurgents.
Let's take it back to the parents. At least you were able to speak with 2 of them, and you say, very terrible situation. They are in pensive mood and sadness. What did you find that the federal government, that the state government is doing to assuage the pains of these people?
Well, based on my interaction with the people on ground, I've been able to find out that the state government has been doing a lot in terms of providing succor to those parents, in terms of even providing funds for the rebuilding of facilities that have been destructed, building of schools, building of even government infrastructure generally, hospitals and whatever that have been destroyed. So far, I think Governor Shettima, out of nationalistic and patriotic approach to governance, has been able to look at his citizens as people in despair and despondency, people that have been helpless and hopeless in the face of poverty and penury. So he has been able to step in to see to the possibility of meeting with them, yearning with their common grief and aspirations, and also providing the much needed dividends of democracy. Dividends of democracy in the sense that wherever he goes in all these areas, based on our investigations, he has been able to assist them in terms of financial wherewithal and also provided food. So far now, as I'm talking to you, the state government has been storing or buying grains to keep for a rainy day, because virtually the destructive tendencies of this insurgency has been able to cripple social and economic activities. It has dislocated family ties. So these people have virtually not been able to go to the farms.
But the most basic of them all,
yeah,
which is security, because, dead people don't eat.
Exactly.
If they've not been able to provide. If they had, you would have stayed longer in Chibok.
Exactly. But the security, is it something that has to do with the state government? It's a federal government affair.
But you say they have been cooperating very well.
Exactly. The cooperation of the state government is limited. Limited in the sense that they can only provide logistics, they can only provide financial weather, they can only provide the enabling environment for the security force to operate. It is left for the federal government now to make sure that the security of the place, peace and tranquility, is sustained.
You admit that there are soldiers there. What more do you want the federal government to do?
Of course, they are soldiers. But in the circumstances where you find soldiers, and yet you hear of sustainable attacks in villages within and its surroundings, it calls for concern. Marco, as I said, I just have a little son, but I don't want to die to see him an orphan. And by virtue of my position as a Democrat of conscience, I believe I have the moral obligation to go to these people and sympathize with them, grieve with them, and also see to the situation and come out immediately. Yeah. Because honestly...
Did you speak with any of the security operatives on ground?
Oh, yes. Of course, there were security personnel on ground. They were, definitely. And I have to give the federal government the kudos.
Did you speak with anyone?
No, you see, to be candid, I did not speak with the security people. I just went as an independent investigator to look at issues.
How would you assess their conduct? Because we're looking at that in the face of human rights.
Yeah, I think so far, so good. What I saw, it was okay. The soldiers were not as if they were harassing people unnecessarily, but I think they were keeping close tab on issues of about the environment in that place. I've seen that there's a kind of partial tranquility, partial peace, but people were living on the edge.
But the nature of those areas, Borno, even Adamawa, for instance, now, not many people have been to those areas. If you talk about areas like as remote as Dumne, if we were to go to Hong, Madagali, now these are areas where if you do elections today, the results don't come to town until maybe a day or 2 days after. Now, the nature of those places are so remote, and one wonders, when this kind of thing happens, do agencies sit back and ask themselves, okay, look, where did we make mistakes? Because it's not like how compact Lagos is. It's a vast expanse of land. Before security can move from one location to the other, they will need information. First, talk about the residents there. How do they cooperate with police, the army? the JTF? Do they volunteer information? Because this is vast. Those areas are vast.
Yeah. Thank you, Chamberlain. You are really vast on the geopolitical nature of the Northeast axis, especially my state, Adamawa.
I've lived in those places before.
Beautiful. Now, looking at all these places, I can tell you without any fear of contradiction that the evil associated with the insurgency is something that has touched virtually every family. And therefore, in the face of any threat to life and property, these people are always willing to give information. Nobody would like to come and sit or sleep and be killed, especially in the face of any information that he has. So, based on the interview I've had with them, they've been assisting in trying to give information to the security agencies. That's why the formation of the JTF, civilian JTF, it's a commendable effort. These are young people. You steal them holding sticks, maybe bows and arrows, but they confront the insurgents. They make sure that they check people to make sure that they pick out insurgents, especially in vehicles and auto. They will look at you, interview you, and if they have any suspicion, then they will drop you and maybe hand you over to the security agencies. So the boys have been trained by the government and has also been funded, and have been doing very well to assist the security forces in stemming the tide of insurgency.